If you're struggling to create content consistently, then you're in luck. In today's video, I'm going to go over my exact tips, tricks, and strategies that allow me to post hundreds of pieces of content onto multiple platforms. Specifically, I'm going to share my strategies for finding content, creating content, planning content, scheduling it all out, and then distributing that content. I'm also going to go over how you know whether or not the content you're actually putting out is moving the needle for your business. So if you're interested in all that, then make sure to keep on watching. Okay, so when it comes to finding content, my number one tip is to determine your social media goals. Now, these goals need to be aligned with your business objectives. Otherwise, the content that you're putting out isn't going to be seen by the right audience and it isn't going to convert into sales down the road. So you really want to ask yourself, why am I on social media in the first place? Why do I want to be creating content, and what is the output that I am looking for? Some of those common goals are gaining traffic on social media, building brand awareness for your business, and advertising products or services on social media. Once you determine those goals, it's a lot easier to find content that you actually need to create in order to achieve those goals. All right, so how exactly do we go about finding the right content to put out? Well, in short, there are three types of content you want to be creating. Educational content that drives up your authority, inspirational content that builds up your credibility and connection with your audience, and then promotional content that will bring in sales. And what you essentially want to do is create pieces of content that fit into these three categories, as well as your content pillars, which are the topics that you usually talk about on your channels. When I'm coaching my clients, I like to use this type of matrix here. On the left column, you have a mix of all of the different types of videos that you can create in the education, inspiration, and promotional space. And on the top row here, you have all of your content pillars. So for my business, I talk about freelance tips, social media, short form video, video editing, productivity, and content creation. And what you can do is you can essentially mix and match the different types of content that you're going to be creating with your content pillars. And once you have an idea of what content you can create, you want to do some research for what your audience is actually looking for. A great website for this is actually answerthepublic.com. And what you can do is you can enter in a few different keywords about one of your content pillars to get an idea of the different type of topics that your audience is searching for. So for instance, right here, I can type in freelance and see what pops up. And once you scroll down, you can see all of the different most commonly asked questions that appear on Google, on Bing, on Yahoo. And what Answer the Public does is takes all of these different questions that have this keyword in them and they put them out into this web right here. And you can search all of the questions here, or you can scroll down and they have them alphabetically listed out. And it just gives you an idea of what your audience is looking for. Now, the only downside is that you do get like 1 to 2 free searches per day. But if you use the right keywords, you should get a lot of ideas out of using this website. Now, when it comes time to actually start creating, I have 2 main content hubs, my YouTube channel and my podcast. These 2 platforms are where all of my other content comes from. So every week I try and put out 1 to 2 YouTube videos and I have 1 podcast episode go live. These are also the 2 platforms that I take the most time to script, outline, film, and edit, just because all of my other content stems directly from my YouTube channel and from my podcast. So if those 2 are outlined the right way and are edited the right way, then the other content will flow really naturally from those 2. All right, so now you guys get a little bit behind the scenes with the whole process. This right here is my entire content calendar hub. There's a lot that goes into it, but today we're just gonna focus on this part down here. So this is a template I created in Notion, and I will leave a link below in the description if you want to check it out and if you want to use it. But in this template, I have every platform that I am active on all laid out right here. And as I said before, the 2 that I mainly focus on are YouTube and podcast. So at the beginning of every month, I go in and I ask myself, what are 4 to 8 videos that I really want to create for this month? What are some topics that I know I need to cover in order for me to help me achieve the goals that I outlined a few weeks ago? And what I'll do is I'll reference my Google Sheet over here and I will pull out topics that I'm going to cover. Now, what's really cool about Notion and the way that I've set it up is each platform has their own specific template. And I will spend a few hours every 2-ish weeks outlining and scripting the videos and the podcast episodes. So this is my template for YouTube videos. I have the different statuses here, and I also have multiple different sections. So if I want to add in any screenshots, I make sure to add them here. I have an entire outline, just recording notes I want to make, the description, and even some of the tags that I want to include inside the video. This is also the same with the podcast. I have different statuses. I have the entire script outlined right here, the wrap up, the episode summary, and then wherever my episode graphic is going to be. And once everything is all scripted out, I film and record all of the content for the next 2 weeks on one day, which is actually this day right here. So all of the content for the next 2 weeks, I'm actually recording right now. So I've already filmed like 2 YouTube videos today. And I typically do this on Tuesdays. I set aside about 5 to 6 hours to get it all done. And I know this might seem a little extreme for some people, but it works out really well for me. Just because I only have to do it every 2 weeks. I don't have to worry about creating content a few days before, and it's a lot more smooth on my end. Also, once I'm in recording mode, it's a lot easier to keep going and do it all in one sitting rather than breaking it up over multiple days. Now, once all the footage is recorded and all the podcasts are recorded, I upload everything to my Google Drive. So since I have 2 separate businesses, I consider myself a client of myself. So I have my own Google Drive folder for myself. And what I do is I save all of the MP4 files in the podcast folder, and then I save all of the YouTube videos in the YouTube folder. That way I can go in and I can splice up the podcast audios and the YouTube videos for content on other platforms. And this system works really, really well for me because I don't have to stress about creating completely original content for every single platform. If you have been following me for a few months now, you've probably seen that most of my YouTube videos or most of my TikToks come directly from YouTube. I also repurpose these TikToks to YouTube Shorts, to Instagram Reels, to Pinterest idea pins, and any quotes that I use on Twitter, I end up turning into graphics on Instagram. Same with my podcast. Any quotes that I say during my podcast, I turn them into quotes for Twitter, and everything just kind of flows really nice when I do it that way. So even though it does take me about 2 to 3 days every 2 weeks to film, script, edit, go through everything, it actually saves me a lot of time in the long run. Because the other 10 days in between, I can just focus on other important areas of my business, any client work, any products I want to work on, and I can just put content creation on the back burner for now. All right, now that I've showed you guys how I create all my content, let's talk about planning, scheduling, and distribution. So every quarter, I reassess my goals, and from those goals, I kind of determine how much content I can realistically put out. Some seasons where I have a lot of client work, where I'm traveling, are a lot busier than others, so it's really difficult to put out my optimum goal, which is 4 to 8 YouTube videos per month. So every quarter I try and sit down and actually reassess, hey, what kind of content can I put out and how much volume can I actually put out without burning out? It's also really helpful because when I'm planning out all of my business goals for the quarter, I can also include my content goals for the quarter and just see how everything relates to each other in that perspective. So right now, my current goals are 4 to 8 YouTube videos per month, 1 podcast episode every single week, 30 short form videos, so that includes TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, idea pins, just 30 in general, and 2 to 3 newsletters per month. And in order to make sure that I'm actually hitting those goals that I've planned, that's where Notion comes in. And it's a really nice way of planning out when I actually want to put out that specific piece of content. I can move around each of the cards, I can determine when I want to post, and if I have some days where I can't make a post, I can just drag it to another day, which is really, really nice to see on my end. Once all of my videos and my podcast episodes are edited, I schedule out to the respective platform. So for YouTube, I just schedule directly on YouTube. For my podcast, I use a software called Anchor, and I just upload them to Anchor and schedule them out for the day that I want them to go live. Now here comes the fun part, all of the other platforms. So right now I have a video editor, and what she does is she goes into my YouTube videos and she chooses the best bites from those videos to be used as short form videos. And depending on the length of the YouTube video and what the content is inside, typically I can get anywhere between 2 to 5 decent short form videos from it. Similarly, I have another person who is a social media manager, and on the back end, she goes and listens to all of my YouTube videos and my podcast episodes and takes out any quotes. Once those quotes are extracted, she uses that as tweets and as static posts on Instagram. So once all of the platform posts are created, everything gets scheduled using this tool here called METRICOOL. And I love using METRICOOL. You can download it on your desktop. You can also download it as an app on your phone or other device. And what's really awesome is METRICOOL shows you all of the analytics for any platform that you link, and you can go in and schedule out all of the content that you want to put out onto your social platforms. METRICOOL also has the best time of day for each of those. So for Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, it will show you when your audience is most active, which is really, really cool. That way you can get maximum reach on them organically. But all you do is just click on when you want something to schedule out and just select the platforms that you want to use. So for Instagram, you have the option for feed post, reel, or story. For YouTube, you have the option for YouTube short, or just a regular YouTube video. So yeah, this is how I actually go in and schedule all of my content 2 weeks in advance. Also, if you are looking for more ways to repurpose and reuse your content, make sure to check out this video here. I go over a ton of different ways that you can make short form videos using other content that you've already created. So let's talk a little bit more about distribution. Once my podcast episode and my YouTube videos are live, my social media manager will go in and she will make posts on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, all of my social platforms promoting that specific video or podcast episode. That way I'm still appearing on all of these other platforms, but I'm not as involved in them. I'm not worrying about creating brand new TikTok videos. I'm not worrying about creating brand new content on Instagram every single week. I'm simply reusing the content I already have. And if people want to get a more deeper understanding, learn a little bit more about what I'm talking about, then they can go straight to my YouTube videos or to my podcast episode to get even more value. Another important aspect of this whole content creation process is understanding analytics. Once all the content is posted, it's really important to track the data behind it to see if the content that you're putting out there is actually worthwhile. Because you can be a content machine and push out hundreds of pieces of content per month. If your views or your posts aren't getting the likes, the followers, the traction that you're hoping for, then ultimately it's just going to be a waste of your time creating all of that content. And as I said before, this is why I love using METRICOOL. You can go in and track all of this data. And as a business owner, you're on social media to get business results, right? And if you're not getting those results, then you need to understand where you're lacking. The best place to do this is go to your analytics and look at your data and determine what is going well, where you can improve, what platforms are serving you well, what platforms you might want to take a step back and reevaluate your strategy. For example, if you have a video go viral 1 week, but you aren't getting any sales or it's not converting into the followers that you were hoping for, then that's a sign you need to go back to your analytics and reevaluate what is going on. Why are people so interested in your content but not willing to buy? Is it your product? Is it your messaging? Is it your current strategy? Is it when you're posting? These analytics will tell you a lot more than you think about your entire business strategy. All right, well, that is pretty much my entire content creation process and workflow. If you have any questions, make sure to drop them in the comments below. Also, make sure to check out the description. I have a ton of free templates for you to use and a ton of different resources as well. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.